I saw a very dear patient a couple of days ago who also is watching the channel. Hello. And she asked me to do a video where I talk about aging, healthy aging. And that's a subject that's on my mind a lot because I'm in it and we all are. But it feels like this last few years of my life, things have really changed a lot. And also, I have had some clients with me for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, and I'm seeing them age too and losing friends and family members. This is part of life and it's happening to me and it's on my mind a lot. So I thought this would be a pretty easy video for me to do. But as I started thinking about it, it's like, where do we start? What do I really want to say? I could talk for hours. So let me first introduce myself. In case you don't know me, welcome to this video and my channel. My name's Dr. Russ. I'm a chiropractor. I practice in Portland, Oregon. As you can see, I also have a little YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. There'll be links and instructions in the video description to all sorts of things like supplement protocols and other videos that I've done about staying healthy, and also to ways you can support the channel if you want to. Being a member, subscribing, liking, commenting, things like that. And speaking of which, it would be interesting to me to hear from you, my viewers, if you want to put in the comments just your own experiences with aging, no matter how old you are. I'm interested in hearing from anyone who wants to share anything about their experience of aging. And if anything that I say in this video is inspiring or new information to you. So let's get into it. My first instinct is to say, I am not here to advise anyone. Everyone who's watching this video has a unique situation in every single way, not just your age, your genetics, your neurological divergence or typicalness, your chronic illness, your trauma, your physical injury, your surroundings, your environment. So it would be crazy for me to try to advise. If you want my advice, we should talk one-on-one and you can have a video session with me. It's not hard. It's not expensive. I would be so happy to learn about you and help you, if I can, advise you on how to take really good care of yourself and this body, the only one that you got. So that's number one. I'm not here to advise. I'm here to inform. Number two, some acknowledgments. I think it's really important for me, before I move on, to acknowledge a few things. Number one, I have been extremely fortunate in my life. There's longevity in my genes. Yes, I have had some bad injuries, but I have recovered. I have no chronic illness. And I live in a time and a place and have an economic situation where healthcare is easily accessible to me when I need it, and healthy food is easily accessible to me when I need it. And I have functional appliances in my kitchen of all varieties. I also happen to love cooking. And so I just have a lot of advantages and privileges in my life. And I recognize that not everybody does, and that may include you. You may be in a situation with more privilege and advantage than I, or less, or about the same. And so I want you to know that whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope that this video is relevant to you and that I provide you with tools and insight and information that you can put to work. So that's number two. Well, let's ask, just to me, what is aging? It's a gradual change, and sometimes not so gradual, change of function. You can do different things than you could do before. There are some things you used to be able to do, like touch your toes or run 3 miles, that you can't do anymore. But on the other side, there's things as you get older that you can do that you couldn't do before. Some of that is physical, but mostly that's on the mental emotional side. And that's what I really try to focus on. I see my patients with degenerative discs in their lower back, or needing hip replacements or knee replacements, and they can't do some things that really brought them a lot of joy, like running or cycling or cross country skiing. I had a fellow come in 2023. He only came once, and he had lower back pain, and he had his x-rays with him, and his lumbar spine was kind of, it was degenerative pretty severely, and he was having pain with running, and he wanted to know what could he do. And I looked at his x-rays and I looked at his spine, and my conclusion was that he had to stop running if he wanted to stop having low back pain. Stopping running wouldn't necessarily guarantee that his back would stop hurting, but I was sure that if he kept running, that his back would keep hurting. And it was hurting him pretty significantly. And it wasn't easy to tell him, I think you should stop running. And I'm viewing his situation through my own lens, which is I stopped running about a year and a half ago. I've never been a marathoner, but I, for a long time, was a 3 mile guy, maybe a 5 mile guy. Once I did 10 miles. I felt so good about that. But it was so good for my mental health. I just work up a sweat, and I would be so focused on what I was doing that all of my troubles would just go away. It was so good for my mental health. And in Portland, there's so many times of the year where you're running in the rain or you're running in cool weather, and it was just blissful. But it kept hurting my lower back, and I would stop for 6 weeks. I would stop for 8 weeks, and I would try again, and it would hurt again. Sometimes it would hurt for a month after just one run. And so I stretched and I strengthened and I do Pilates and I got acupuncture and I got body work. And it didn't change the fact that after running, I would hurt. So part of aging is learning to identify yourself in different ways. And I think if you just stop watching in the next minute, just hear this, if you're getting older and it's a struggle for you, we all are going to lose our capabilities if we're lucky enough to get old. And in losing our capabilities, we lose how we identify. I identified as a runner. I identified as a very physically capable person with really good balance and hand-eye coordination and strength and flexibility. And for most of my life, I could be easily touching the floor with my knees straight. I can't do that anymore. So I can't really genuinely, honestly, authentically to myself identify as athletic anymore. So I have to figure out other ways to identify other aspects of myself and my ego to hang my personality and my hat on. And I'll share with you that about 15 years ago, I suffered a really severe injury to my lower back. It was a herniated disc that took forever to heal, like a year and 15 months, something like that. As you see me now, I'm 168 pounds. I was 137 pounds. I lost almost all of the muscle in my left leg. I couldn't feel anything in my left leg. I was amazingly able to walk, but every step was agony. And it was a huge part and a huge moment in my life. As you can see, I healed from it. But during that time, I came to understand that I might never regain my function. And even if I did, I was sure to lose it again. So I'm going to have to learn to identify as something other than physically strong. Sooner or later, there will come a day when I'm not strong anymore. And through this pain and suffering came insight, as often happens. And my insight at the time, and it still feels true to me today, is I want to attach my identity to something that is likely to grow over time and not diminish. My strength is going to diminish. My memory is going to diminish. My coordination and balance and all these things are going to slowly, if I'm lucky, go away. So what's one thing that I can continue to do no matter how old I am? And the answer to that question is love. And I realized through that pain and suffering that I want to identify myself as a loving, generous person because I believe that I can keep doing that as long as I live. And in fact, the older I get and the more I mature, it feels like I get even better and better at those things. So I do have that piece of advice. Try and identify with the really beautiful aspects of your ego and your personality and the way that you show up in the world, and the things that will grow over time and get deeper over time. And in the meantime, while you're young, enjoy your strength, enjoy your energy, enjoy your relationships, enjoy the striving that you have when you're young. That's another thing that changes when you get older. And I don't feel like I'm striving the way that I used to, and I don't miss it, honestly. I could look back on my career if I stopped today and say I had a really good chiropractic career. I'm not going to stop for another 10 years, I think. But if I did, I would say I did it. I did it. I made a business. I made a career. I employed people. I helped my patients. I was a beneficial member of my community. Um, and I supported my family. And I feel good about that. And having done that, frees me from continuing to strive. So that's another really nice benefit of getting older. It's not that stuff doesn't matter. It still matters. It's not that I don't care what people think about me. Of course I care. Here I am making videos. It's that I just feel like the accomplishments that I have in my life make me feel good. And if you're around my age or older, I hope that that inspires you to sit and think and recollect about the things that you've done, and give yourself some credit for whatever you've accomplished in your life. What do we want, as we're getting older? We just want to be happy. We want to continue to have fun. We want to continue to thrive. We want to continue to have friendships and relationships and community. We want to be able to do the things that bring us joy and satisfaction. That doesn't change. And what changes is our capability to do those things. So what I want to talk about as we get into this video is, what really do we need to preserve physically in our bodies and mentally in our minds? And then what are some ways that we can do that? Well, let's start with a triangle. And this triangle is kind of the classic chiropractic model of health. Health is a triad of three interrelated things: structure, that's our musculoskeletal system, that's our physical body, our muscles and joints and bones. And then there's our chemistry, all of our hormones, our energy production, our digestion and detoxification, our oxygen carrying, all of our neurological, electrical impulses, that's all electrochemical, and that all falls under the chemical side. And then there's the mind. And the mind comprises your thoughts, your feelings, your ego, but also your unconscious. All that deep, deep stuff that's all the way inside of us that we're not even really aware of most of the time. That's why it's the unconscious. The mind also is our connection to our community, our relationships, and our relationship to the divine. Whatever universal intelligence resonates with you, that's in your mind. So your mind also is your spiritual or religious self, the higher self, if you will. And what all of this is about, and really the bottom line, is our DNA. The two things that really define you and make you you, number one is your DNA, and number two is your immune system. And those are the two things that you want to guard at all costs, because your DNA, number one, some people think, well, once I'm done reproducing, what do I need my DNA for? I've already passed it on. No. Every single cell of your body has all of the DNA that every single cell of your body has a full set of DNA. And your DNA is active all of the time. It's constantly replicating itself, and it's constantly being decoded to create proteins. And those proteins are either the enzymes that run your body or the proteins that make up your body, like the collagen in your bones and connective tissues, or the actin and myosin in your muscles, or the enamel in your teeth. Those are all proteins, and that all comes from your DNA. So your DNA is number one. While we're on the subject, let's talk about the immune system. One of the most important things you can do to keep your immune system healthy is to keep your gut healthy. Most of your immune system lives in your small intestine and large intestine. Most of what your immune system knows about the outside world, it knows because you swallowed it. So it's really important to keep your guts healthy. And your gut biome by taking probiotics, and even better, eating fermented foods like sour pickles, not like the vinegar kind you get in the grocery store, but the sour kind you can make at home. And when spring and summer come around and it's pickle season, I will do a video on how to make pickles. And the other really easy fermented food that you can make is sauerkraut. And you can also usually buy fresh sauerkraut at the store. That kind of thing is extremely healthy because it puts good beneficial bacteria in your gut, which supports your gut immune system. And the other thing is to avoid things you know you're allergic to or intolerant of. Because if you take them, you're going to create hyperactivity of the immune system in your gut, which is going to cause hyperactivity of your immune system in general. And you don't want your immune system hyperactive. It starts attacking your own tissue. And that's also going to cause inflammation. Inflammation in the gut starts there, spreads to other parts of the body. As the gut wall starts to thicken from the inflammation, you can't absorb a lot of the food that you're digesting. So stay away from your known allergens and take care of the friendly bacteria in your gut. Let's start by talking about the structural side of the triangle. What are some things that tend to be lost or certainly change as we get older as it relates to our structure? Bone density. Our bones are constantly turning over and constantly regenerating themselves. And over time, men and women, the rate of replacement starts to decrease, whereas the rate of going away doesn't. And that's why bone density tends to decrease over time. So bone density. Number two is the pliability and the strength of our soft tissues, all of it. Ligaments, tendons, muscles, fascia, and skin, and also the connective tissue in your eyes, which is part of why we kind of lose our vision as we get older. Our joints get less mobile. As part of the normal wear and tear on our joint structures, they get stiffer and less mobile. Our blood vessels get smaller and less elastic, and that's why our circulation is not quite as good. Our heart doesn't contract as strongly as it used to. Another reason why our circulation tends to diminish over time. And then one a lot of people forget about is your teeth and your gums. It is normal, part of aging, for the gums to recede. The enamel on the teeth gets a little bit thinner. And so those things start to deteriorate. On the chemical side, here are the things that we tend to lose over time. Nerve conduction. So as the nerve cells age, they degenerate even slightly, and the nerve will conduct its impulses more slowly, which affects your reaction time, which affects your balance, because balance and reaction time are two very, very closely related things. So nerve conduction. Next is the ability of our blood to carry oxygen. So on the structural side, our heart doesn't pump as strong, our blood vessels aren't as wide or as flexible. And now on the chemical side, a lot of times our blood doesn't carry as much oxygen as it used to. We start to lose some of our hormonal juice, and that's a big change for women around menopause and for men around andropause, when your sex hormones stop being produced or at least go drastically lower in their production. And that does not only affect your reproductive system, it affects every cell in your body. All of the cells in your body respond to estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in both men and women. And we start to lose that hormonal stimulation, or some call it hormonal support, as we age. And so our cells just don't have the same zip that they used to. They're not getting the same stimulation. Another biggie, and this one often is kind of one of the first things that people start to experience with aging in their 30s, is your digestion and elimination gets less robust. So as you're getting older, if you're 35, say, the strength of your stomach acid is already starting to decrease. And if you have been exposed to multiple rounds of antibiotics or other life circumstances, the biome in your gut is going to be altered. And potentially unfriendly. And that is so key to your digestion and your immunity and your mood, by the way. Very, very important. But the digestion and elimination starts to go downhill kind of earlier than a lot of other things. And going right hand in hand with that is our detoxification pathways in our liver. And not to get too deep into it, but here's kind of the 1 minute spiel. Detoxification takes place in two steps. Step one, or phase one, is the initial oxidation. And then phase two is when whatever that thing that needed to be detoxified was oxidized in step one, and now in step two, it goes through some other chemical change, methylation, sulfation, conjugation. It doesn't really matter exactly what they are, but what we need to know is that step two is complicated and requires a lot of resources in terms of energy and raw materials like glutathione and methyl donors and things like this. If step two is slow and sluggish, but step one is still working, you get all that stuff hanging out between step one and step two, and that stuff is not good for you. And so this is why our detoxification pathways are so crucial to how we feel day to day, but also to how our bodies are aging. So that's the chemical side. Structural side, chemical side. Now, what happens to us on the mental side? Memory, obviously, is one that goes. Mental energy and stamina, just how long can I concentrate for? I'm finding in my life that that has not changed very much yet, but I see it changing in folks older than me, so I know it's coming. A biggie for a lot of us, especially in this stage of life, tolerance for change and variation from our routine. And, I used to kind of laugh at my grandparents who were very, very routine-y. But the older I get, the more I get it. I want my sleep. I want to eat at certain times. I'm not yet at that 4:45 dinner, but it's heading in that direction. And I understand. My digestion is certainly not what it used to be. And I find that if I eat dinner after 7, I have worse sleep that night, which is just crazy to me, but it's real and I have to accept it. And then the thing that we lose, unfortunately, and I hope this never happens to me or you, is you lose your desire to live, the zest for life. And I think that's in the state of mind where I am right now. I think that's avoidable, and I'm working really hard to maintain my enjoyment of life. I saw this movie recently called About Time. It's kind of a rom-com. This is a total aside, but it is relevant. And it's about a man who can travel through time. So it's a new take on the time travel thing. He can't travel to the future or the distant past, but in his consciousness, he can go back and relive any moment in his life that he wants. And it's a really cute movie, and he has a nice relationship with Rachel McAdams and with his father, who's played by Bill Nye. But at the end of the movie, this is from a man in the movie who has the ability to go back and relive any day of his life. And he does that a lot through the movie. He goes back to relive the special times. And towards the end of the movie, he says, I don't go back and relive days very much anymore. What I try to do when I wake up is to live that day as though I had come back specifically to experience that day. To live each day as though you made a specific conscious choice to come back and live it again. And for me, that brings me into the moment to notice what's going on around me. I don't like thinking I'm going to live this day as if it was my last, because that's just crazy. I do like thinking, how can I fully embody this day? And I don't think that changes over time. I don't think that I'm going to get worse at that over time. I think I'm going to get better at that over time. Let's talk about the chemical side again, and let's specifically talk a little bit about supplements and stuff. I don't want to get too into it. Number one, this is not a sales video. And number two, I don't want to get in the weeds, but I do want to talk about it because I know it's on a lot of people's minds. We do live in an incredible period of time where not only delicious, fresh, nutritious food is so readily available, but also we have all of these supplements that are just incredibly designed to support your health. And I take supplements, and not a ton, but and I eat well, but I think most people do need to take supplements. So what are we doing with the chemical side? Number one, we're protecting our DNA. Number two, we're supporting our immune system. Number three, we are helping our brain, our heart and blood vessels. We're supporting our digestive system. You know, as chiropractors, we're so focused on the spine. If there is a chemical spine to the body, it's the digestive system. The digestive system is like the spine of your insides. If it's off, it's really hard to be healthy with a serious digestive issue. And so let's nip our digestive weakening in the bud when we can as we're getting older. We want to maintain our muscles, bones, and joints, our teeth, and then our skin, hair, and nails. Now, I know in particular, not just women, men and women, attention to anti-aging is mostly focused on the skin and the hair. And I get it. I lost my hair when I was in my 20s. I've had a long time to adjust to being bald. It doesn't bother me anymore, but I like my skin. I think my skin looks nice and I don't want to lose that. I know I'm going to, but I want to keep it for as long as I can. Using reasonable methods. So what are we going to do with our chemical health? We're going to protect our DNA from oxidative damage. We're going to manage our blood sugar. We're going to manage our cholesterol. We're going to keep our brain healthy. We're going to try and maintain our ability to produce energy that includes digestion. We're going to try to support tissue repair and replacement. And we want to make sure that our good bacteria are happy in our guts. And if you can do those things, you will feel good and you will age well. So specifically to protect your DNA from oxidative damage, you need antioxidants. The big three are vitamins A, C, and E. That's not enough, but if those are predominant, you're doing really well. You can find these things in your diet. You can supplement them really inexpensively. There'll be a link in the video description to my full script dispensary with all of these supplements there. You get to pick and choose cafeteria style what you need. If you do need them and you're going to buy them and you buy them from my dispensary, I appreciate it. I get a little cut and you get a 20% discount on all products every day, all the time. I just took 20% off. That comes out of my cut and that's for you. Vitamin D, so important to bone health, immunity, and the hormonal system. And so vitamin D, you don't want to do too much because it'll mess up your calcium balance and you can start precipitating calcium in your tendons and get calcific tendonitis, or in your kidneys and get kidney stones. So we don't want to overload on vitamin D, but we do want our vitamin D to be healthy, between 50 and 100 ideally. In terms of minerals, the big three are calcium, zinc, and magnesium. Very easy to supplement and also good in the diet. I am a really big proponent of bone broth. And so whether it's beef stock, chicken stock, or like a really seriously long cooked bone broth that's gelatinous, I like making it and I like eating it. And it is so rich in minerals and in collagen, which is really good for you. It's a really good protein. We're going to make sure that we take our good fats. So this is going to help manage inflammation. Good fats are also important for brain and nerve conduction. It's important for joints and it's important for heart function, particularly omega-3s, which come from fish oil primarily, but there are vegan alternatives as well. So we're going to keep our cholesterol in balance and we're going to keep our heart and our brain and our hormones and our joints healthy by having good, healthy fats. We're going to get enough protein. We're going to support our digestion. We're going to support our detoxification pathways, and we're going to make sure we're getting enough fiber. And that's important for your elimination, but tangentially or indirectly also really important for heart health. So fiber comes in two forms, soluble and insoluble. The insoluble is what we think of as roughage, and the soluble is things like flax, oat, and apple, things that are a little gelatinous. That's soluble fiber, and that's so beneficial because it will bind toxins in your gut and it will bind extra cholesterol in your gut so that you eliminate those things. And that's really, really super important. So yes, there are tons of supplements you can take, and I have picked out some really good products that you might want to consider, but it's really a lot about what you eat and what you don't eat. If you're a young person watching this video, I'm going to tell you the one piece of advice: learn to cook, learn to enjoy cooking. because when you cook your own food, it's healthier. And when you get used to healthy food, you want healthy food, you crave healthy food, and then that's just better for your body now and 5 years and 10 years and 50 years. Um, Learn to cook, learn to love cooking. Uh, People ask me what I eat. Well, let's just start with my vices. Um, I really like fried food, but I do not digest it very well. I really like whiskey, particularly bourbon and scotch. I try I try to drink two or less and less than twice a week, but I find it really tasty and it makes me feel good. I love chocolate, and otherwise, my vices are pretty few. What do I eat? I eat meat, fish, and eggs. I eat a lot of green vegetables. I eat a lot of onions and garlic. I eat a lot of whole grains. I really like lentils and beans. I love cookies and scones and pastry. I'm not like a candy person, but I really have to moderate those things because I have found in this time in my life that I put on weight really easily. And one of the things we do want to do is keep our weight moderate as we get older. Some gain and some change in your body shape and composition is normal and totally 100% within the range of health, but you want to keep it moderate. So let's kind of put the chemical side to bed now. I could talk for hours. We're already 30 minutes in and we're not close to done. So how do we keep ourselves healthy on the structural side, the base of the triangle? So I had 3 videos that I did last year, the foundation of fitness, how fat burns, and how strength builds. I'll link to them in the video description and also on the end screen of this video, so you can just get right to it. But I outline all of those things, cardiovascular exercise. I think in early, late, middle age is the key. It's the foundation that everything else is built upon. Whether you want to walk, cycle, if you can run or jog, please do. You cross country ski, you go to the gym and get on the elliptical machine. It's about getting your heart rate up in a moderate range and sustaining it over time. It's also really important to keep up your strength and do strength training for muscle and soft tissue, but also for bone health, because when you are stressing your muscles, you're stressing your bones. And how you keep your bones healthy and dense is by stressing them and giving them the nutrients they need to continue to build. We want to work on our flexibility and mobility, which includes body awareness. So for me personally, strength, flexibility, and mobility go together. And that's my Pilates, which I have a lesson twice a month. It's pretty affordable at that frequency. And I happen to have a reformer in my office that we use for patients, and I climb on it myself whenever I can. I find Pilates works really well for me, especially having had my back injuries in the past. I have to be careful about what kind of strength training I do because those injuries are waiting to be exacerbated and aggravated, just waiting for the chance. That disc is waiting for the chance to go out again. So body awareness and balance, moderating your weight gain. Those are the things that I think are really important to do on the structural side. There's tons of resources on my channel and elsewhere on the mental side. How do we keep ourselves healthy mentally? My grandparents did the crossword puzzle and watched Jeopardy every day. Remember that part about their routine? And that was part of it. It kept their brains working. My other grandma played cards, and these are the things that you do to keep your brain stimulated so you don't get too bored. For me, my hobbies of improv, but just my relationships and my community and being social. I'm not a total extrovert, but I do need a lot of social time. It's what keeps me interested and engaged in my life. So finding new ways to identify, as I talked before, as you lose your physical capability and some of your mental capability, then what are you doing? That's not a question you want to leave up to the darker parts of your soul. It's a question you want to have ready answers for, that you intentionally and proactively are participating in creating that. Otherwise, the danger is it's just going to spiral down and you're just going to identify as incapable and decrepit. And that doesn't feel good. And that's not a recipe for a zesty life. Another one is the grief. So you are losing your younger self. Friends and family are dying as we get older. As my friend Herb said, if your friends and family aren't dying, that's because you did. And it's morbid, but it's also the truth. And I'm a believer that when it comes to those big questions, we need to get right to the truth and sit with it. And that's where the grieving comes in. None of us asked to be born. And this whole living thing is a terminal condition. We're all going to die. And as humans, with our brains and our egos and our personalities, we get attached to things that we lose. We get attached to people that go away, and we get attached to our own capabilities that also go away. We need to face that. And the way to deal with that is not to pretend that it's not true, or to divest yourself of all possessions and relationships for fear of losing them. The answer is grief. And of all of the healing tools that we have provided us by our Creator, I think the grieving process is one of the most powerful things that we have in our arsenal. That's how people heal, is by grieving. And don't confuse grief with sadness. Sadness is a feeling, grief is a process. And so what I'm saying in this part here is that process takes time, and we need to allow ourselves the time and space to do that. I think it's a really important part of being a mature person, and the older I get, the more important it seems to be. Proactively finding new experiences. So taking a drawing class, learning the ukulele, meetup. Now you can join a meetup and meet people with similar interests as you. I know it can be awkward and cringe, but it can also be amazing. And you can meet really nice people and open new doors for yourself that you didn't know existed. But one way or the other, we have to go out and proactively seek new experiences and growth. It doesn't just come to us. So the last one I'm going to say on the mental side is another allowance, and that's time for rest and reflection and regeneration. Need more rest as you get older, and it's really important to allow yourself that. And I don't see that being much of a problem in folks like 55 and older, although I do have a lot of patients who are doing too much and are outdoing what their body's capabilities are. And I would like them to rest more. That's not just older folks, that's everybody. Kind of in general, I think we just don't get enough rest in our society. But it's important as we get older to allow ourselves that time to rest and reflect. So as I draw this talk to a close, I'm really appreciative that you're still here with me watching almost 40 minutes in. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I do invite your comments, and I do appreciate your support, and particularly in the comments, if something that I have said in this video particularly informed, inspired you, I would love to hear about that. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day. This is Dr. Russ signing off.